I'm Jen from That Mama Book Nook, and welcome back to my channel. January was way too long, cold, and dreary. And while obviously February is still pretty chilly, I enjoy the signs that winter is progressing, getting closer to spring. Daylight's getting a little bit longer, maybe it's just a tiny bit less cold, and I love all the pink that is associated with February. I also feel like I'm starting to see people both online and in person come out of hibernation just a little bit, myself included. And today I'm going to be sharing my February TBR. First up, I will be reading The Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Booley with my local book club. I picked this one up at the local bookstore that hosts the book club. This will also fit a diverse reading prompt from the diverse reading challenge that I'm doing this year of a banned book. The theme for this month at the bookstore was a YA book, so this is actually a young adult book. This is what got the most votes during the previous month's book club. Donis Fontaine is a biracial, unenrolled tribal member who has never quite fit in. When her family is struck by tragedy, Donis puts her dreams on hold to help care for her fragile mother. During this time, she meets Jamie, who is a new recruit on her brother's hockey team, and he's very charming. She also witnesses a shocking murder, and she becomes part of the investigation and even agrees to go undercover. This is a pretty well-known book. I still do enjoy some YA, but some I struggle a little bit more to connect with the characters because I am well past young adult age. But I'm hoping that this one will be a hit for me. Next, I am so excited that the swoony readers on YouTube and Instagram are back from their little hiatus. And the first book that they picked for 2025 is Bet On It by Jody Slaughter. I picked this one up from my library network. This will also fulfill a diverse reading prompt of a plus-size main character. While having a panic attack in the frozen food section of the local Piggly Wiggly, Asia ends up meeting the man of her dreams. Not the most ideal time. She then runs into him again when she is introduced to him as her favorite bingo buddy's semi-estranged grandson, and she realizes he's going to be a problem. Walker Abbott doesn't care for much in Greenbelt, South Carolina, except the peach cobbler at his favorite diner and his ailing grandmother. At first, he is counting down the days until he can leave, but Aja kind of shakes everything up and changes that feeling. This one sounds so fun for February. Then the Thrills and Chills book club is also back from their little hiatus, and the first book that they picked for 2025 is A Killing Cold by Kate Alice Marshall. This fulfills a 52 book club prompt of a genre set during winter. This prompt will occur during every season, but you have to pick a different genre each time. So this will be a thriller set during winter. I can obviously then pick a fantasy during summer and a romance during spring, and historical fiction during fall, or whatever I end up deciding to do, but that's how that one works. This just came out and I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to grab it. I don't really want to buy it because thrillers and I have a complicated relationship. So I have some holds at the library and Libby, but because it's also brand new and getting a lot of hype, it's a little bit of a long wait. So we'll see how I end up grabbing this one. Theodora Scott insta falls in love with Connor Dalton. 6 months later, he brings Theodora to Idlewood, his family's isolated winter retreat, to win over skeptical relatives. It's never a good time when they say isolated in thriller books, I feel like. Theo has been receiving threatening messages to stay away from Connor. She is trying to ignore them. She's having a harder time ignoring things like the footprints right outside their window in the snow, or this like strange sense of deja vu that she's getting from this place. Then she finds a photo of herself as a child at Idlewood. She starts to piece together forgotten memories, but someone is trying to keep a secret and Theo is in danger. The Literally Dead Book Club, hosted by Kayla from Books and Lala, is reading Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix this month. This one is also a brand new release. I'm really hoping to grab this one from my library, but the wait is a little bit long. I did put my hold in earlier than I did for A Killing Cold, so I'm hoping that between people who aren't quite ready to read it and just putting the hold in early enough that I'll be able to get it either from my library or on Libby, or maybe both. Maybe I'll get the library one, and then by the time I have to return it, my Libby hold will be in. Wellwood Home in St. Augustine, Florida is a place where unwed mothers go, or really are sent to deliver their babies and hide their pregnancies, usually giving their babies up for adoption eventually, and then trying to forget that it ever happened. 15-year-old Fern arrives in 1970, pregnant, of course, terrified, and alone. She meets several other girls there who are in the same predicament as her. Everything the girls eat, every moment of their waking day, and everything that they are allowed to talk to is strictly controlled by the adults there who claim that they know what's best for them. Then Fern meets a librarian there who gives her an occult book about witchcraft, and power is in the hands of the girls for the first time in their lives. But magic and power always come with a price. I've been hearing really mixed things about this one, and I feel like in general Grady Hendrix is very hit or miss for a lot of people. So I think the synopsis sounds so good though, and I don't mind a slow burn, which I think is part of what the complaints have been about, so I'm hoping that I enjoy it. Okay, this one I have been hearing about everywhere in the bookish community, and I'm reading it with 2 book clubs. I am reading it with the Booked with Babes book club, hosted by Booked with Allie, and I'm reading it with the Reading Through book club, hosted by Crystal Clear Chapters, and of course I will link everyone down below. And that is The Favorites by Lane Fargo. I grabbed from my Book of the Month pick in January. Katarina Shaw knows that she is destined to become an Olympic skater, despite not having a famous name or funding or even her family's support. When she meets lonely foster kid Heath Rocha, their instant connection makes them quite the duo on the ice. Clinging to skating and each other, they go from childhood sweethearts to champion ice dancers, until a shocking incident at the Olympic Games brings their partnership to a sudden end. As the 10-year anniversary of their last skating together approaches, an unauthorized documentary reignites the public's obsession with them. Kat wants nothing to do with it, but really doesn't like not having a say in her own story, so she finally decides to break her silence. So excited to read this one, figure out what the hype was about. I think I'm really going to like it. The next book that I will hopefully be getting to in February is The Traitor Queen by Daniel L. Jensen. This is the second book in the Bridge Kingdom series. I am still working through the first book called The Bridge Kingdom, which was on my TBR in January. I'm still finishing it up, so I'm hoping that I will finish that soonish, and then I will go right into the next book, The Traitor Queen, which is the Hearthside Reader Book Club pick for February. And this has been renamed from the Carolina Book Club. They were the ones who picked The Bridge Kingdom in January, so we're continuing on with the series at least for this month. I have a hold on Libby for this, but I might have to grab this one on my Kindle again if it's not ready by the time I finish The Bridge Kingdom. I don't want to spoil the ending of the first book for myself, so I am not going going to go through the synopsis of the second book because I'm assuming it's going to pick up where the first book leaves off. So I will just say the tagline of the book. In the second novel of the heart-pounding Bridge Kingdom series, one woman fights back to win her throne, her people, and the love of the man she betrayed. Then the last book club that I will be participating in February is the Book Baddies Book Club, hosted by Leash from Leash Gets Lit, who is a dear friend of mine, and we will be reading Deep End by Allie Hazelwood. I did end up having to buy this because, again, so new, and I was never going to get a library or Libby hold, but this contemporary romance is a book that I would enjoy, so I didn't mind adding it to my shelves. And look, I love the sprayed edges on the paperback. I'm really trying not to buy too many books this year, but I'm not doing any like book buying bans or anything else. I'm just trying to be strategic with the books that I buy versus the books that I wait for the library. So you'll see a mix on my TBR videos of how I get books. This is about Scarlett Vandermeer, who is a junior at Stanford, and she is a student athlete who specializes in platform diving. She prefers to keep her head down, focused on getting into med school, and she's also recovering from an injury. She tells herself she has absolutely no time for relationships. Swim captain and world champion swimmer Lucas Blomqvist thrives on discipline. A secret slips out, and Scarlett and Lucas decide to start an arrangement. And as the pressure leading to the Olympics heats up, so does their relationship. I actually feel like I haven't seen what people think about this one yet. Like, I don't remember what people who read the arcs are. This only came out this week, so I'm interested to see what I think. I've only read one other, Allie Hazelwood, and I liked it but didn't love it. I still want to go back and read some of her older ones because I read Not in Love, which was her other recent one, and there's a few other ones. Like, I have Bride. I still need to read Bride. I wouldn't mind trying her YA, the like Check and Mate one, so I definitely want to go read Backlist, but I'm interested to see what I think. Then I have only one buddy read this month. I will be buddy reading Scythe and Sparrow, which is the third and final book in the Ruinous Love trilogy by Bryn Weaver. Reading this with some of my book besties. We all read Butcher and Blackbird kind of separately, and then we read Leather and Lark together, so now we feel like it's tradition to read the last book. This technically doesn't come out until February 11th, but I grabbed it in my Book of the Month add-on for February, so that's why I have it in my hands a little bit early. If you're not familiar with this series, each book follows a different brother. There are 3 brothers who all have this desire to unalive people for various reasons. They all have a little bit different motivation, and the women in their lives who also seem to have a knack for that, again, for different reasons. Butcher and Blackbird was the first book, following Rowan and Sloane. Then Leather and Lark was the second book, following Lachlan and Lark. And then Scythe and Sparrow, the third book, is following Fionn and Rose. The Goodreads synopsis was pretty brief, so I'll just run through that. Circus motorcycle performer Rose meets lonely small-town Dr. Fionn after a night of murderous adventures goes awry. That's it. Like, one sentence. But I guess you get the gist. As I mentioned, I read Leather and Lark with these same ladies last year, and I'm really excited to finish off the trilogy and read this one with them as well. All right, then I have 4 advanced reader copies this month, as well as 3 gifted books from publishers that I would really love to get to this month. I think I mentioned it in my goals video. I am really trying hard to stay on top of advanced reader copies and gifted books, so these will definitely be priorities. The first one I already started because it actually comes out on February 6th, and that is Pen by Jennifer Milliken. This is also going to complete my February prompt for the Books and Bulldogs hosted yearly reading challenge. Their prompt was a book set in a small town. And this will also fulfill my Pop Sugar prompt of a highly anticipated book. I was an advanced copy reader for 2 of Jennifer Milliken's books last year, and they were were 5 stars, both of them, even though they were very different. I expect this one also to be very different, but I absolutely love her writing, and I'm really excited to finish reading this and reviewing. Pen is the first book in what's going to be a 4-book standalone series, so like interconnected standalone series that are based off of The Princess Bride, which I just think is so fun. I probably could use a refresher on my Princess Bride, but I've definitely seen the movie, just it's been a really long time. But she's mentioned that you don't have to have seen it, just if you enjoy that movie, then you'll get some little Easter eggs that you'll definitely appreciate. This is a modern day, I'm not even really sure if you could count it as a retelling, as more of just an ode to it. Anyway, this is about the town of Olive Township. The whole town is looking forward to the day when Daisy St. James says I do to the town golden boy. Except Daisy's not in love. But she doesn't really care because she doesn't really believe in love anyway. But then a mysterious stranger named Peter sails into town with a Navy SEAL tattoo with daisies around it. He feels very familiar to Daisy. Then one day he says something to Daisy that only a man from her past named Penn would know. Penn Bellamy has returned to Olive Township just to sell his late mother's estate, get her affairs in order, grab a sandwich and get out of there. He ends up speaking to Daisy, is her ear when she flees her engagement party, becomes her physical therapy client, and even offers to help her with her home remodel. None of those were in the plan. When Daisy learns that Peter and Penn are the same person, and Penn discovers that Daisy's engagement is just a pretense, all bets are off. And just, Jennifer Milliken does not write cheating, so I'm interested to see how this plays off. The next arc is Follow Me to Africa by Penny Ha. This comes out on February 25th, and this will fulfill a diverse reading challenge prompt of a book set in Africa, specifically not South Africa. This is a historical fiction book, first set in 1983, where 17-year-old Grace Clark just lost her mother and begrudgingly accompanies her estranged father to an archaeological dig at the Udavai Gorge on the Serengeti Plains of Tanzania. Here, 70-year-old Mary Leakey enlists Grace to help her pack and sort through her 50 years of work and memories. Their interaction reminds Mary how she pursued her plans of becoming an archaeologist in the 1930s by sneaking into lectures and working on excavations. When well-known paleoanthropologist Louis Leakey commissioned her to illustrate a book, she's not expecting to fall in love with an older married man. Mary then follows Louis to East Africa and falls in love a second time, this time with the Olduvai Gorge, where her work defines her as a great scientist and she's able to step out of Louis's shadow. In time, Mary and Grace learn that they have a lot more in common than they originally thought, which eventually leads them to a secret that connects them. They also discover a mutual deep love for animals, and when Lisa, an injured cheetah, appears at camp, Grace and Mary work together to save her. On the morning that Grace is due to leave camp, the girl and the cheetah are nowhere to be found, and it becomes a race against time to rescue Grace before the African bush claims her. Wow, this not only sounds amazing, but Mary Leakey actually is a real person, and this was inspired by her story and her groundbreaking work as a paleoanthropologist. The next advanced reader copy is A Minor Inconvenience by M.E.J. Holland. This is the second book in this standalone series, the first one being A Bucket List Birthday, and this comes out also on February 25th. Lennon Yarrow decides to buy a bed and breakfast that is a little bit of a fixer-upper project. Noah Ashwood has ruined Lennon's date last spring, so he decides he's going to become a home renovations expert just to get an opportunity to talk to her. They start spending a lot of time together, and even though Noah has sworn off relationships, it quickly seems like they are in one anyway. Then the last advanced reader copy that I'm hoping to read in February is The Undoing of Violet Claiborne by Emily Critchley. This comes out on March 4th, and this fulfills a 52 book club prompt of a character's name in the title. 1938, Gillian Larkin is used to being unnoticed until she is sent away for school and befriended by her roommate Violet Claiborne. Violet invites Jilly home for Christmas at Thornley. Jilly is initially dazzled by the family's faded grandeur and Violet's older sisters, who immediately welcome Jilly as one of their own, but a terrible accident occurs on the grounds and Jilly begins to realize that the Claiborne sisters aren't quite what she thought they were. Then I received 2 gifted books from Gallery Books, which is an imprint of Simon & Schuster in January. The first is The Wedding Menu by Letizia Lorini. 1 year ago, Amelie thought she had it all. She was engaged to her high school sweetheart, really close to her childhood best friend still, and cooking at her dad's restaurant. Until Ian, an opinionated wedding hater, pops up out of nowhere and convinces Amelie that she might like something more off menu. 1 year later, Amelie has lost it all. She is no longer engaged, she's taking a break from that friendship, and she's unemployed. And Ian is even gone too. When Amelie visits Ian's hometown to teach a week-long cooking conference, she hopes for a fateful meet cute, but their reunion is far from joyful when Amelie realizes Ian is the son of her father's business rival. Ian also only wants friendship. Amelie thinks that she can change his mind. The other book that I was gifted by Gallery Books is More or Less Maddie by Lisa Genova. This is the same author as the well-known book Still Alice, which is still on my TBR. This follows Maddie Banks. She is a stressed out freshman at NYU. It's normal to feel overwhelmed between exams, schoolwork, navigating life in the city, a recent breakup, and never feeling quite normal in her seemingly perfect Connecticut family. Maddie's latest low, however, is devastatingly low, and she ends up going on an antidepressant. She then spirals the other way, feeling so dazzling good that it ends in mania and a bipolar diagnosis. Maddie now has to figure out how to navigate her new normal. I think this one sounds really powerful, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. I'm really grateful to the publishers who send me books, and I really do want to take the time to read them, review them, and appreciate them. Then I am a winter brand rep ambassador for The Book Drop, which is a women-owned and run book subscription service based out of a independent bookstore. Again, I of course will link everything, more of the specifics down below in the description. The Book Drop is a monthly subscription service that sends you a surprise book based on the genre of your choice, or you can even pick Surprise Me and just be completely surprised on both genre and book. I am highlighting the Books for Tea subscription, which is historical fiction. No surprise there. And so in January, I received The Irish Girl by Ashley E. Sweeney. I'm going to use this in my 25 in 25 challenge for the prompt, a new to me author, and also for the Books and Lala buzzword cover prompt of a skyline. This is about 13-year-old Mary Agnes Coyne, who is forced from her home in Ireland in 1886 and sent to America after a scandal. She starts in New York and then she heads to Chicago. She suffers prejudice for being poor and Irish. She eventually gets married at the age of 16 and heads to Colorado because she is following her husband, who is chasing a cure for tuberculosis. She eventually returns to Chicago later on, where her Irish family has also come over, but they disown her. And Mary Agnes now must kind of redefine what it means to belong. I think this one also sounds really good, really interesting, and again, so appreciative. Thank you to the book drop. Now for my personal challenges that I do each month, even though my monthly TBR is ridiculous and I really don't need to add any more books to it, but I do it anyway. The longest book on my shelf right now is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas at 624 pages. I already had this one on my shelf. This will also fit the 52 book club prompt of over 1 million copies sold, and for Books and Lala's buzzword title prompt of water words. So mist is the water word that I'm going with. This, of course, is the second book in the ACOTAR series. I read A Court of Thorns and Roses last year. I won't go into the synopsis since it is a second book in the series, although I do think that I'm one of the last people to read these, but you never know, and I won't be the one to spoil the first book. I'm not a spoiler channel. I do think that this picks up where A Court of Thorns and Roses left off, though. I've also heard that this is possibly the best book out of the series, so I'm excited to see what the hype is about. Then the next highest rated book on my entire TBR is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, but I am reading Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere in publication order, so I will be reading the short story of The Hope of Elantris, which I'm pretty sure is actually just available for free on Brandon Sanderson's website. This will also fulfill the Massachusetts Center for the Book Reading Challenge. Their February prompt is a city name in the title. Elantris is the name of the city in this book. I plan to read this one after I finish Elantris, which is another one that I started last month but I haven't quite finished yet. Another one that I won't go into the plot for because it's definitely a spoiler for Elantris. Brandon Sanderson says that himself, but hopefully this will be an easy one to tackle as soon as I finish up Elantris. Then the next book on Goodreads Best Books Ever is The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown. I am instead going to be reading Angels and Demons by him because it technically is a series and this is the first book. The Da Vinci Code is the second book. Both of them are on the Goodreads list, so I will get to the Da Vinci Code at some point. And I do believe that they can be read separately, but I really, really enjoy reading in order when I can. There are a few exceptions, but again, I have the opportunity to read it in order. That's what I'm going to try to do. And I already had this one on my shelf. I think I even picked it up at a little free library. The world-renowned Harvard symbologist Robert Langford is summoned to a Swiss research facility to analyze a mysterious symbol that's seared onto the chest of a murdered physician. There he discovers proof of the resurgence of an ancient secret brotherhood known as the Illuminati, who are trying to take down the Catholic Church. His fears are confirmed when they leave a message that an unstoppable time bomb has been left at the Vatican City. Langdon jets off to Rome, where he teams up with Vittoria Vetra, an Italian scientist there, and they're both going to work together to hunt to find the secret lair of the Illuminati. I also picked one of my 12 books in 12 months picked by 12 friends challenge. This month I will be reading Neanderthal Seeks Human by Penny Reed. This was recommended by my friend Britt. This will also fulfill the 25 in 25 prompt of a friend rec, obviously, as well as the 52 book club prompt of a character with red hair, which I was really nervous was going to be hard to do, but this one was very obvious, so thank you, Britt. I will be grabbing this one on Libby. It is readily available. Janie Morris is incapable of engaging in conversation without volunteering too much trivial information. Quinn Sullivan unnerves her, and she doesn't know how to knit. I'm assuming that all of that is going to be important for the story. Quinn Sullivan witnesses Janie losing her boyfriend, apartment, and job all on the same day, and then he keeps turning up. The last thing Janie expects is for Quinn to make her an offer she can't refuse. Then a few friends of mine we're all going to be doing a book annotating exchange. Basically how it works is that we all will pick a favorite book, reread it, annotate it, and then send send it to the next person. So each month-ish, we'll all be reading a book and annotating it on top of the other annotations, and then sending it along until that person's book ends back to them. I just think this is so fun. Like, how special will it be to get my favorite book annotated by myself and a bunch of my book best friends, and then be able to have that copy? I'm so excited. I will be picking The Secret Keeper by Kate Morton. I did buy a new copy of this book for this project, and this will also fulfill the Pop Sugar challenge of a book with the same title. And I'm actually, for my 12 books in 12 months recommended by 12 friends challenge, someone had recommended The Secret Keeper by a different author, so I'll be reading that at some point during this year, which will be the other half of this, the next prompt that goes along with this one. So that worked out perfect. I have loved this book for a long time. I recommend it to everyone, but I haven't reread it in well over 10 years. I'm hoping it still lives up to my expectations of it and my memories of it on reread. So I'm a little bit nervous, but also, again, really excited. During a summer party on her family's farm, 16-year-old Laurel Nicholson escapes to her childhood treehouse just to daydream. There, she spies a stranger coming down the driveway. She spies a stranger coming up the long road to the farm, and Laurel watches her mother Dorothy speak to the stranger, and before the afternoon is over, Laurel will witness a shocking crime. Now, 50 years later, Laurel is a successful actress living in London. The entire family is gathering at the farm to celebrate her mother's 90th birthday. Realizing this may be her last chance, Laurel searches for answers to the questions that still haunt her from that long ago day. We then get Dorothy's story, which takes us from pre-World War II England through the Blitz to the 60s and beyond. It is the secret history of three strangers from vastly different worlds, Dorothy, Vivian, and Jimmy, who meet by chance in wartime London and whose lives are forever entwined. I'm so excited to reread this and annotate it. I can't wait to update everyone. Last two, I needed just a few more books to fulfill my goal for prompts on some of the bigger challenges that I'm doing this year, so I just picked a couple easy ones. For the Books Are Life challenge for February, I needed a book that started with O, so I picked Only When It's Us by Chloe Lisi, and this also fulfills the Pop Sugar prompt of soccer. I will grab this one on Libby, which is also readily available. From the moment that Willa sat next to Ryder in class, she made it clear she hates him. No idea why. Willa is feisty, the next generation of women's soccer with a temper, and Ryan wants to keep his distance. Ryder Bergman refuses to acknowledge Willa's existence, which infuriates her, but she's never backed down from a challenge. Forced to work together on their final project, they begin a game of pranks and practical jokes, but then they start to catch some unexpected feelings and the game changes a bit. Lastly is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikatsu Kawaguchi, which will fulfill the Pop Sugar prompt of healing fiction. This one is on Kindle Unlimited. In a small back alley in Tokyo, there is a cafe which has been brewing and serving coffee for more than 100 years. This coffee shop offers their customers an opportunity to go back in time, though. In this book, we meet 4 visitors, each of whom is hoping to make use of that time traveling offer in order to confront the man who left them, receive a letter from their husband whose memory has been taken by early onset Alzheimer's, to see their sister one last time, and to meet their daughter who they never got the chance to know. The journey does have its limitations. They have to sit in a particular seat in the cafe, they cannot leave the cafe, and they must return to the present before their coffee gets cold. It sounds so sweet. I've heard good things about this one. I'm excited to read it. And it's pretty short, so again, squeeze this one in to fulfill that one last prompt. Shouldn't be too bad. That's it for February. Let me know what is on your February TBR. Do we have any of the same books? And as always, if you're not feeling super chatty but you just want to let me know that you were here, go ahead and leave any color heart emoji for February and Valentine's Day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!